Hello and welcome to the FocusHoops WNBA Show. We are back. It is week one officially. Last week we kind of pretended like it was, but it wasn't. It was week 0. This week, week 1, we are here to preview the WNBA season 2020. It's live, it's in the wobble, and it's going to be the best season of WNBA action there has been since the last one. Maybe, I'm being serious for a second, maybe even better. And I'm going to get into this a little bit later on. But first, we are going to go around the horn and introduce everybody that we have with us today. So first up, we have Michael Hansen-Morris, the reigning WNBL Division 1 Coach of the Year. He's been a winner wherever he's coached, lots of experience. So Michael Hansen-Morris, women's basketball expert, I think it's fair to say. I'm going to say it. How are you this evening, my friend?
Yeah, good. Looking forward to getting games underway and should be an entertaining season.
I think you're right. And we've gone in back for a second week. Greg Mpofo from the Lancashire Spinners. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing good. I'm actually glad to be back this week. I wasn't scheduled, but everything's happy when a plan works out.
So it's you that left the tap running for 2 months, was it? If you know,
I
you
can
know.
neither confirm nor deny.
And of course, Kaz. Kaz is back for more. Kaz is going to be with us pretty much every week, I think. That's my plan, at least. I don't know if I've discussed it with you. Now I have. Kaz, how you doing? Perfect. How you been?
I'm good. I'm excited for the season to get started. Can't wait to watch some basketball.
We can't wait. Kicks off, remember, tips off this Saturday. What time is the first game? I want to say it's 5 p.m. our time. It is indeed. And it's a bit of a big one, isn't it? New York Liberty taking on the Seattle Storm. Now, we're gonna have more of a look over the first 6 fixtures of the season a little bit down the road on our journey today. What I do want to say is that this first weekend, I don't know what you guys think, but I think it's absolutely prime time for a UK audience as well as an American audience to really enjoy some great quality women's basketball just all weekend. It's an absolute binge fest of basketball. Michael, what do you make of it?
Yeah, I mean, the WNBA have done a terrific job with the schedule, full stop. I think all weekend games throughout the whole year are 5, 8 and 10 p.m. tips in England. So obviously not just for England, it makes it accessible, but for the rest of Europe as well. Obviously, a lot of Europeans. Slightly less this year in WNBA with all the opt-outs and things, but still a good chunk of Europeans, and it should hopefully promote the game well.
So let's dive into it then, shall we? We have spent the last couple of weeks getting ourselves ready to cover this season here with Focus Hoops. And we're going to dive into it right now. We're going to take a look at the Atlanta Dream. Now, did anybody look in particular detail or focus at the Dream? Was that anybody's particular? That's how we're going to start off each one of these.
Yeah,
if anybody's done anything in particular, we're going to dive in with them. Sorry.
I'm pretty sure we all looked at most teams, but I had a particularly close look at the Atlanta Dream.
So just dipping behind the curtain briefly, Ads was supposed to be here this week. Atlanta Dream is his team. He likes all Atlanta sports teams, which is good for him, I guess. And so, Greg, as you are Ads for today, do you want to kick us off and then we'll go over to Kaz?
Yeah, I'm sure I'm moonlighting as Adam this week, so I'll get into that. Look, Atlanta had a very tough 2019 season, 8-26. So, from that perspective, the only way is up, I guess. And in this season, with the roster that they've had come into the wobble, they've gone for a very decidedly defensive identity. And, considering the struggles that they had last season, it's a very good place to start. They were giving up plus 78 points per game to their opponents, while they only scored 71.2. So they're not going to be really getting into too many shootouts with teams. So they need to slow the game down. They need to really get stops for them to be competitive this season. They bring back Monique Billings in her third year from last season, 6'4" forward from UCLA. She had a decent year, struggled to score the ball a little bit. Played 29 games, but only started 2 of them, playing 19 minutes off the bench. But her value really rests in cleaning up the boards, rebounding the ball, and maybe allowing them to get out and run to get those cheap points that you rely on when you're a team with a defensive identity. And the other returning player for her 68 is Elizabeth Williams. 6'3" out of Duke, plays the center or forward position. Started every game, major minutes, almost 30 minutes a game. She's a little bit of a do-everything in the front court. You know, she passes the ball some, she rebounds very well, especially on the offensive end, and scores a little bit. Didn't quite get over 10 points per game, but they'll be looking to her to sort of solidify, you know, the inside presence for them as they go forward into the season.
So with the Dream, we didn't say this at the start. That's my bad. Last year, 8-26 record, 6th in the East, 12th in the league. They finished bottom. They did not qualify for the playoffs. Kaz, what has stood out to you about their off-season work with the Dream?
So I think the really interesting thing is that they've only got 2 returning players from the entire team last season. They've acquired some really some good pieces, especially Courtney Williams and Shapina Strickland from the Connecticut Sun in a trade. Although Courtney Williams isn't with them at the moment, she's expected to join the team, but there's no date with that yet. It was reported today. So I'm not sure how that'll affect the first few games. I think they're going to really need Strickland and Courtney Williams, because when you look at that roster, Courtney Williams is the only player that's ever averaged over in double digits her career. So they're a very inexperienced, not heavy point scoring team. But they have picked up Kennedy Carter at the number 4 pick in the draft. And she is just an absolute scoring machine. She's going to score. She's scored from everywhere. If you need threes, you need someone to drive to the basket, need the mid-range, she can do everything. I think she's going to just come out and take over that offense. And her and Williams together, they're going to be, obviously, as Greg said, very defensive-minded, but those 2 in the offense. I think they're an exciting team to watch. I think they're going to be very, very fast and very fun. They are one of the younger teams.
Okay, Kaz, you're breaking up on us a little bit there, but thank you for that. Yeah, like you said about Kennedy Carter, 21.3 points per game in college last season for Texas A&M. She is the highest draft pick Atlanta have taken since Angel McCoughtry. And, I mean, we all know the impact that she's had on the league and on Atlanta. She is, of course, with the Aces this year. We'll get to her later. Mikey, just very quickly, is there anything that really stood out to you in your prep regarding the Atlanta Dream?
Well, obviously, they've lost the backcourt pairing of Tiffany Hayes and Rennie Montgomery. I think they've opted out with everything that's going on. So that's a big piece missing for Atlanta, certainly in terms of continuity. Kaz said it's spot on. They've got 2 players back. So how that works on a short season, if they can get that chemistry going early, will be key to try and get some momentum. But ultimately, this Atlanta team is going to be, can they score the ball enough to win games? Greg said it's 71 points a game last year. That was bottom of the WNBA. And if anything, they've kind of lost scoring. So that's going to be the question of who can really step up for them and score the ball consistently for them to challenge for a playoff spot.
Thank you, Mikey. Just a reminder to all of you, thank you so much if you're watching this live, and even if you're not, put comments in the comment section down below. We read them, we love to read them, and if you get them during the show, we will get back to you on your points. Absolutely love having interaction. Mikey, did you have something a little bit special for us on each team?
Oh, we're going to this already. Okay.
I think we should do it as we go.
So I've had a quick look at some rough predictions for teams. So we're going to go over/under on wins for the season. Atlanta is 6.5. So over or under?
Over.
Yeah, I say. I mean, if Courtney Williams comes back, definitely over.
I'll take the over, and the main reason for that is because of how they struggled on the road last season, and that's an element that they're not going to necessarily have to worry about this year.
Unless you count all games as road games.
I mean, maybe they really take a favor to. Maybe they really like court 1 at Feld, but not so much court 2. I don't know. That's an interesting one. Mikey, if you can keep a little track of who said over and who said under, maybe. If not, we'll just make you watch this back. So we move on. We move on to the Chicago Sky. Last year, they finished 20-14. They were 3rd in the East, 5th overall in the WNBA. Now, they were eliminated in the playoffs in the second round by Las Vegas. That shot, and when I say that shot, if you know, you already know. A couple of seconds left in the game. 7 seconds left in the game? Vandersloot in the backcourt, trying to get out, trying to get it clear. Heaves a prayer down court. Deaka Hamby catches it, dribbles, doesn't know where she is, doesn't know the time, puts up the shot, sinks it from 35 yards out. Feet out, rather. Game done. Semi-finals booked. Chicago are going home.
35-yarder.
Yes. Sorry, the group chat's been too much about football lately. So that has left them with a real bad taste in their mouths. They see last year as a missed opportunity. This is coming from the players. This is coming from the coaches. And one key player in particular, Diamond DeShields, she is really focused. She wants to come back. She wants to win a chip this year. She sees it as a great opportunity. Did anybody have anything specific on Sky they want to start with?
I don't mind jumping in.
Go ahead.
Well, first of all, since we mentioned it, what is Chicago's opening game on Sunday?
Oh, yes, it is. It is the rematch, isn't it?
Yep.
Against Las Vegas.
So that'll be an interesting one just to start the season. Obviously, the rivalry kind of from the playoffs last year. Chicago, an interesting one. They've kept a decent amount of the roster, but then they also had a couple of really big trades with Dallas over the off-season. So it'll be interesting to see how their new pieces fit in. But the core group is back for Chicago. Obviously, you mentioned DeShields already. You've got Quigley back. Van Sloot's back, Dolson's back, so it'll be really interesting to see how they can have that continuity to roster to start the season. Obviously, teams have had limited prep time this year, so you'd think that continuity will give them a leg up early on. But it'll be interesting. I actually think Chicago probably slightly overachieved last year. When you kind of look into the numbers a little bit more, they were the 9th worst defensively, and that is the big question over the past few seasons with Chicago's how their defense has been performing. They gave up over a point per possession last year, and their net rating is only just in the positive, which for a team that went 20-14 is not a great sign. So it'd be interesting to see if they can expand on that playoff run, or if their stats come back down to a progression and they kind of a lower end playoff team heading in.
Did anybody else have anything much to say on the Chicago Sky?
They've got Ruthie Hebard from Oregon that was playing with Satu Sabli and Sabrina Ionescu. And I think she's going into a really good, stable situation there to learn from a lot of the veterans and the core players they've got. She was averaging 65% field goal shooting, scoring 16.4 points, 9 rebounds a game. I think she's going to get not loads of playing time, but she'll probably get a really good opportunity, and I think she'll be able to develop into a really good player.
One thing that has been highlighted about Hebard is that she ran a great pick and roll with Ionescu for 3 seasons, and now she's going to be playing with Vandersloot. Vandersloot was very happy when she was picked, apparently, or at least was very happy about her going into the draft. So it's going to be really exciting. A lot of people agree with you, Kaz. I agree with you. This should be a really, really good fit for the Chicago Sky. Greg, anything from you, boss?
High scoring team, in the WNBA, 84.6 points a game. And the key reason for a lot of that is Courtney Vandersloot. She's one of the more creative and exciting guards that you have in the league. She loves the pick and roll. Her offensive game, two-man game, if you will, with Stephanie Dolson, it's a lot for teams to deal with. Then you throw Hibbert in there. I think you've got a pretty dynamic combination in terms of what you're going to be dealing with as an opposition team. And, they shot relatively decent percentages as a team, 44.8. You get up towards 45% and over, you're looking pretty good as a team. But like Mike said, the challenge for them is, are they going to be getting enough stops on the other end to be able to keep teams down? Because there's some teams that we've looked at that have got some serious firepower out there. And, the major difference in the WNBA from the NBA, for instance, is that you're looking at 1 through 16 seedings as opposed to conferences. So it doesn't matter where these teams come from, East or West Conference, you have to deal with everybody because it all factors into the standings. So look for them to maybe be at best middle ground defensively in the league. But if they can do any better than that, I think they'll be a serious threat when it gets to the postseason.
So 2 players they've brought in specifically to shore up their defense is Sydney Colson and Azura Stevens. So 2 big acquisitions on that end. And let's just talk for a moment about the offense. Courtney Vandersloot, we've mentioned her negatively a little bit earlier, but like you said, Greg, what an incredibly exciting, adventurous player, almost 300 assists in a season. And this is a 3-month season, and she's out here causing a madness. It's a wonderful thing to see. Breaking her own record set the year previous, so maybe she's going to go for even higher this year. We've already mentioned Diamond DeShields, who's really looking to have an explosive year and win a chip. That's just all on her mind. And who's the other one I want to talk about? Ali Quigley, who's shot 44% from 3 last year, led the WNBL with 80 made 3-pointers. And again, this is a 3-month season, so that is a lot of threes going down at a very, very good clip. Shall we move on to the side? Oh no, Michael, you must remind me.
Yeah, so Chicago 11.5 wins. That is their prediction.
Ooh, well, that feels low. That feels real low.
I got over.
Yeah.
I'll take the over.
Yeah, I'm taking the over. No way they are a 500 team. Remember, 22 games. Factor that in. 22, not 34. That is low.
There you go. Well, everyone's going over, so at some point, someone's going to have to do worse than their predicted record the way you're going.
Remind us of that as well. All right. Excuse me. We move to the Northeast. We move to the Connecticut Sun. Last year's beaten finalists. They finished with a 23-11 record. Second in the East. Second in the WNBA. They lost in the WNBA finals to Washington 3-2. And I hear you out there. You'd be like, do you know what? I didn't really remember that final. I should probably go back and watch it. You don't have to. We made a show last week. Have a look at it, check it out, and of course, then go back and watch all the games and all the highlights because, what finals it was. Jonquel Jones, superstar. But she is one of the major players that does not feature for the Connecticut Sun this season. We've already spoken about 2 of them. Courtney Williams gone, traded to Atlanta. Shakina Strickland, my apologies. Also, as a free agent, she's now got a new home in Atlanta. So it's a new look Connecticut Sun. Who focused on them?
Okay, I'll jump in again.
I had a quick look at the roster. Go on, Mikey.
I was going to say the overall picture for Connecticut is it is a very different roster from what we saw in the finals. So normally you talk about a team making the final, maybe you just need to make a small tweak here or there. But Connecticut had 4 or 5 trades in the off season, so they've really decided to kind of gamble a little bit and go all in. And yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they adapt. Obviously, the big miss is Jonquel Jones in the paint, and it does seem to leave them a little bit short on the inside. Potentially someone like Brianna Jones will need to step up, but they don't seem like they've got that inside presence they've had in the past. So that could be certainly a challenge for them. But when you just look at the people they've got with the 2 Thomases, they're going to be, you'd imagine they'll be in contention again, but you do feel like Jones is one of probably the bigger misses in the WNBA this year.
Yeah, I completely agree on that one. And of course, who did they bring in? Who was the real star player that they brought in? And I'm just looking to see how they acquired this player. Dun, dun, dun.
One of the many trades, I think it was with Phoenix, if I'm correct.
It was indeed. It was a sign and trade deal for 3 first-round draft picks, 2 in 2020 and 1 next season. And that, of course, is DeWanna Bonner. Would anybody like to speak on DeWanna Bonner?
She's gonna
as a very long-term. Sorry, guys. As a very long-term Phoenix Mercury fan, DeWanna Bonner has been a player that, honestly, I've been in awe of for a long time. 11th year in the league now. She's an impact player on both ends of the floor. Incredible length at 6'4", active. She can score the ball. She can defend too. The thing she brings for this Connecticut Sun roster is experience as much as anything else, that she can contribute to the box score. And, as we watched the finals last week, the thing we noticed about Connecticut that they really lacked was depth. They were very starter heavy in terms of their rotations, and they struggled to really match with the depth that Washington were able to provide. And having someone like a DeWanna Bonner, who doesn't necessarily need to play the huge minutes to have an impact, that can allow you to maybe use her off the bench as an impact player. And then you get, the 2 rookies that are coming in, Charles and Montpremier, is it?
Yep.
Hoping that they come in with a bit of an impact and are able to contribute straight away, which, the very fun thing about the WNBA is that rookies are often able to come in and have an impact straight away because they come in as veterans, usually 3 or 4 year players out of college. So having that and a pretty decently experienced player in Brianne January, who I think has been in the league longer than DeWanna Bonner, maybe by a year or so, there's some heady players in there that will be able to steady the ship when things get a little bit rough for the younger players. So look for them to have a little bit more about them in terms of their depth this season.
Alice, let's go to you.
Yeah, I agree totally with what Greg just said there. They've got a couple of players I think they're still waiting on that maybe have tested positive for COVID, so aren't with them at the moment in the bubble, but they're due to join them soon. One player I just want to highlight that got picked up this season, Jackie Hemeloth from... she was at the University of California. She's been playing in Greece and Italy the last few seasons. She's got a really cool story of things that she's overcome in her life. She's had 5 ACL tears, 8 knee surgeries. People keep telling her to quit. She doesn't, because she just loves playing. She was drafted by the Lynx in 2012, got cut. She's been picked up by the Aces, got cut before she got to play any games. She's played a few games with Chicago back in 2015, averaging just over a point a game, but she's been trying to work her way back into the league, and she's got an opportunity this year, and she's just the type of player that is going to take the opportunity with both hands and absolutely go for it. So I hope she has a really good season, and I think she'll be quite a cool story to follow throughout the season. Hopefully she does well.
Absolutely. That's incredible. Sorry. When we had the focus on you, but when you said 5 ACL and 8 injuries, I was just like...
Just year after year, and she just kept rehabbing, getting surgery. It didn't work. It had, it didn't gel. And again, and to keep saying, yeah, I'll keep playing. After that, to keep going and not just give up. Like she's incredible.
some incredible athletes in the WNBA, and she certainly sounds like one of them. Michael.
Just something that popped up with what we were mentioning as well is the depth of Connecticut early will definitely think will be tested. Talked about the players missing. It looks like it's kind of in the backcourt on the point guard position. So I'm not quite sure who they've got to bring the ball up behind. Obviously, Jasmine Thomas, who's exceptional. Obviously more of a defender, but good, contribute 32 minutes and one of the better point guards in the league. But I don't know what they've got behind her. So that'll be an interesting story, certainly in the first couple of weeks until they get everyone back, that how they manage that lack of depth and if they can get off to a hot start, missing some key role players for them. And with that said, they are, like Chicago, predicted at 11.5.
Let's start with Greg.
The thing I'm trying to get that's going to inform my decision if they're going to be more or less successful is how healthy is Alyssa Thomas going to be, because she was jacked up last season, both shoulders.
Labrums in both shoulders.
Yeah, so if she's even a little bit healthier than she would look, she didn't even make half of her free throws with the way she had to shorten her shooting motion at the line because of it. So that can be worth a good 4 or 5 points per game, I think, if she's healthy. So I'm again inclined to go with the over. They should be comfortably above 500 for this season, especially if they're able to get a healthy Thomas and get her off the floor as well, which is something they weren't really able to do much last season.
Kaz?
I'm going to go under. I think they might just hit 11, be a 500 team.
Yeah, I'm with Kaz on that one. I think they are just like that much under. It's going to be close. Has Mikey been giving his predictions? No, he's not.
No.
Look at this. Everybody just look at this face for a second. That is the face of a man who does not do predictions. He's a one for that. All right, we move to the South, the home of the newest National Lacrosse League franchise, the Dallas Wings. Their ownership group have just started a new lacrosse franchise, so good for them. Big announcement from them the other day. Now, last season, they finished with a 10-24 record. They were 10th in the WNBA. They were 5th in the West. They did not make the playoffs. They have had a very interesting offseason. They have made a lot of changes, but they have retained, and this for me is the most important part of everything they've done. They've retained Arike Ogunbowale, who, and I don't want to say robbed for Rookie of the Year, but it was real close. There could have been 2 Rookie of the Years last year, Rookies of the Year, if you were. Now, heck of a player. She put this roster on her back last year, and, she got them to where they were ultimately. It's going to be really exciting, really interesting to see how she operates with this roster this season. She's a year older. She's got that more experience. She's played in Europe. I think, and the coaches there are very confident that she is ready to take another step in her game and take this club to a higher level. Before I go completely off on one about the Dallas Wings, Mikey, let's go to you for a little overview.
I think the thing obviously that jumps out with Dallas is the inexperience on the roster in terms of overall WNBA experience. They've only got 2 players that have played 4 years on the roster, and they're the 2 most experienced players. So it is a very inexperienced roster, but it has a lot of talent. Obviously, the issue Dallas have had in the past is size, and I think that's still potentially an issue. They've obviously added Astorna Dor, the Spanish international, and Katie Lou Samuelson in the trade. And obviously, again, they are a little bit longer, but you wouldn't necessarily, especially with Nador, who plays inside a lot more. She's more of a finesse type of player, and she's not overly physical in her style. So if Dallas can control the paint and limit opportunities in the paint, that's going to be a key for them, because that's kind of where their defensive inefficiencies been the last couple of years, which has held them back. And then obviously we need to talk about the rookie class, having two of the top 6 picks, with obviously Satu Sabali and then Bella Allaire, who are both going to come in and I think having an immediate impact on this roster.
Don't forget Taisha Harris.
Yeah.
I asked Taisha a few weeks ago, what do you see as success in 2020? She said, Rookie of the Year, and that's the 7th pick. That is confidence, and I love to see it. Sorry to talk over you, Mikey. Carry on.
No, but that's the thing with Dallas. Maybe this year they might be a little bit short, but they're certainly building a great core that's going to promote them in future upcoming years.
I know that they're very excited about pairing Arike with Mariah Jefferson in the backcourt, and that should free Arike up because she's not a point guard. She's a shooting guard. Last year, she had to play point guard. It's a role that she was mostly pretty comfortable with, happy to step up to the role, to the position, but ultimately not her favored position. I think it's fair to say. So they've actually got a proper backcourt this season, as well as some bigs. And for me, I reckon Rookie of the Year could well be that girl that grew up in Berlin, Satu Sabali. And I asked her a question in an interview last night. I said, are you having fun? Essentially. And she said, yeah, actually, I really am. I'm making the little girl that grew up in Berlin very happy with what she's able to do. Greg, do you have anything on the Dallas Wings?
I can see this being a run and gun team. They're going to put up some points this year. If you look at the composition of their roster, they got Katie Lou Samuelson, who has, similar to her sister Carly, and the ability to just go nuclear at any point, go missing for much of the game, and just pop up and score a bunch of points all of a sudden. So that's a major thing for her. And obviously, Satu Sabali coming out of college with a huge pedigree. Interesting trivia item about Satu. Her and her sister both won MVP at their respective age groups at the European Championships in the same summer. I think that was back in 2017, if I'm not mistaken. So she's got a long history of high pedigree as an impact player. Wherever she's gone, she was obviously maybe a slight bit overshadowed by Ionescu at Oregon, but definitely a player of her own right with a lot of notoriety as a scorer in college basketball. As Tundoa, as Mackie mentioned before, she can score a little bit of a tricky forward that you have there. I think you need to be quick off foot to really stay in front of her. Megan Gustafson can put up a few points as well. The good thing about Megan Gustafson is that you don't really need to call offense for her. She can get her own offense just within the flow of the offense, taking opportunities where they come. So in most teams, you'll fight very hard for that, to not have to call offense for a particular player that can still put up points. So the question again, similar to Chicago for Dallas, is can they get stops? And I think they'll be a bit more capable of doing that than Chicago would be, but it's still going to be a big question mark for them. And until they can prove that they can do it, that's going to be a challenge for them.
Again, that's where the signing or the draft picks of Bella Allaire and Taisha Harris really come in, because they are two players seen as very good defenders coming in. And of course, Satu, her body appears to be really WNBA ready. Very, very long, very athletic. So hopefully that is also going to, from a Wings point of view, really benefit on the defensive end. Kaz?
Yeah, just to echo what Greg said earlier, they're going to be fast. They're going to score a lot of points. I don't like to compare teams to the NBA, but I feel like they're going to be like a Golden State 3-point shooting team. Again, they're very young, so maybe that inexperience hinders them a little bit, but you never know. They could gel really quickly and it could work. But I think the best is yet to come for them in the future. In 2 or 3 years' time, when all of those players are, getting the experience, maturing at the same time, I think they're going to be very dangerous in a few years if they keep it together.
Yeah, so they are very young, but they've got very experienced coaching group, especially their head coach, 2-time WNBA champion coach. So really brilliant pedigree there. And they're young, but speaking to a lot of the players over the last few weeks, they're all used to playing overseas. They're all used to playing AAU. Of course, they all played college. So that close-knit, that togetherness that they are experiencing in the bubble, that could really help bind them together. And they're quite confident of that. Mikey, you know what to do.
I think I know where this is going, because this is probably, to me, the most surprising line. Dallas, 6.5 wins.
Get out of here. Get out of here. Dallas are making playoffs. Like, don't even.
Over.
I'm taking the over.
I don't know which bookmakers writing these lines, but I don't understand that one at all.
I think it's Vegas.
Yeah, over.
Yep. Easy.
Bill Lambert himself is writing these, like trying to get into people's head, playing mind games. I respect that. We move on to Indiana Fever. Very, very interesting season coming up for Indiana. 13-21 last season, 4th in the East, 9th in the league. Now, what I'm going to say may surprise people not so up on the WNBA, did not qualify for the playoffs because, as Greg said, they take into account all the teams, not just the top X in each. So 9th in the league, they finished. Let's just jump into it. Michael, what overview have you got on Indiana?
So I think obviously the big thing is Indiana haven't made the playoffs since 2016. I think it's 24-74 the past 3 seasons. So this is a franchise that's really struggled the last couple of years. But after the All-Star break last year, they went 7-8 or 8-7. So they were dead on a 500 team down the stretch last year. And they've brought a lot of players back again. And not really any major departures from the squad. The only one is Hertar, the Hungarian, who's hurt. So they've got a lot of continuity again. Added some talent with Lauren Cox in the draft, in particular, the Baylor standout. And that continuity, I think, will really give them an opportunity to grow. But really what we're looking at is Indiana is there anyone that makes that step from a good player to an elite WNBA player? And that's kind of what they need. They're very team heavy in how they play, which is great. A lot of players in around that 8 to 11 points per game mark for them. But I think to really progress, they need 1 or 2 players to make that next step. Obviously, one of the obvious choices would be the All-Star MVP from last year, Erica Wheeler. Obviously, that was a bit of a surprise at the time, but she's obviously shown signs of major growth. And then Kelsey Mitchell, 2nd in the league last year in 3-point made at 79, led the team in scoring at just nearly 14 points a game. Is she someone that can get up to that 17, 18 points a game mark and really give them that little bit extra to help this team?
And of course, it's Mitchell's 3rd season in the league, and that's a season where, with these players, you certainly expect to see a bit more of a kick on, a bit more of a progression as they're entering the early peak or prime of their careers. Lauren Cox, I'm really excited to see how she's going to operate. She was Defensive Player of the Year in college. She's a very versatile big, meant to be a very, very good passer, and can stretch the floor. Shot 33% from the perimeter last season, which, for a big, that's not too bad at all. Greg, anything that stand out for the Fever?
This is, for me, another team that's going to figure to have a decidedly defensive identity. They're not especially big, but they've got a little bit of length on the front line, maybe a bit on the small side in the backcourt. But they're a mobile unit. They're a very mobile unit. They don't have anybody that you'd consider the plodding kind of big. The experience in the backcourt is going to be Candace Dupree. 14 years in the league, I think.
14-year veteran.
She's going to be. See that? So that right there is going to tell she's been about the block. She knows what she's doing. and she's gonna be able to help a rookie like a Lauren Cox, who she probably shares a position with, and she'll probably be spelling each other here and there. So, with that veteran leadership in the backcourt, I think they'll be able to, be a little bit harder to play against than most teams with the know-how. Coach Stanley, probably one of the more defensive-minded coaches in the league, I think. And of course, you got someone like an Erica Wheeler who's capable of scoring a little bit. And one player I want to really look out for, if you're, of the European persuasion, is Julie Allemand. I think having seen her last year in the European Championships, in that Belgium squad that had Emma Mieseman, she's an exciting talent. She's very young, but I think she's gonna have a massive impact, maybe off the bench to start with, but that's gonna be someone that's probably given the green light, have an explosive scoring impact off the bench. So with someone like that coming off the bench, you can really grind it out in between periods where you don't have her on the floor and knuckle down on defense, which is who they're going to have to be, because I don't think they have a bunch of scoring on the roster.
Okay, we're going straight over to Kaz. Kaz, what have you got for us with Fever?
So they've got a new head coach this season in Marianne Stanley, and obviously she's come from Washington last season, winning the title there. So I think that's a really good coaching change for them. Which, like Greg said, Erica Wheeler, she's if she can sort of step up her game a bit, keep on that All-Star MVP quality play that she was having last season and the second half of last season, that's really going to help. Again, they've not got too many vets, but someone like Candice Dupree is definitely going to be able to help out a lot there. I think Erica Wheeler's the next longest tenured player there, 5 years in the league. But I think it'll be exciting to see Lauren Cox, definitely.
Erica Wheeler and Natalie Achonwa, both 5 years in the league. So, yeah, absolutely bang on it, as per Kaz. They, of course, joined late. They joined the bubble 5 days after the rest of the league. This is to do with some quarantine COVID. I believe that, I don't know if any of the players or personnel close to the team tested positive, so they went into an additional lockdown, still in Indiana. And once things were of an acceptable standard for them to make the trip, they made the trip. So they've had a bit of a reduced time for preparation. Mikey, over-unders?
8.5 for Indiana.
I mean, to me, that sounds kind of reasonable. That sounds reasonable. Is there that sounds reasonable? Am I allowed to do that, or do I have to go over or under? Oh, it's half, isn't it? I'll go under.
That half makes you have to go one way or the other.
Yeah.
And I'm taking the under on this one. Just the inexperience is going to get them.
Yeah, under.
There you go.
I don't think they'll make the playoffs.
No, I don't have them penciled in as a playoff team. Yeah, you can tell I'm not really a gambling individual, All right. Speaking of gambling, we move to Las Vegas Aces. Last season, they finished with a 21-13 record. They were third in the West. They were fourth in the WNBA. They made it to the semifinals. They lost in the semifinals to the eventual winners, the Washington Mystics, 3-1. Sorry, I'm getting wishful thinking there, thinking that we had like a 9-game series. I don't know what happened. They lost 3-1. They have had a rough old time of it, Las Vegas. They are very banged up. At times in the last week, they've been training with as few as 5 players, but they have made some moves. Let's just talk quickly about who isn't here. Liz Cambage, forget about it. She is a non-active player decision individual, not playing due to the COVID. she is more at risk due to underlying health conditions, I think is generally the idea there. Kelsey Plum, one of my favorite players in the sport. Achilles went when she was playing in Europe, and Jisoo Park has stayed in Korea. And with Cambage not being there, Jisoo Park for me, that's a really big loss, both literally, but also every other wise. They don't have any rookies on the roster. Jackie Young is their least experienced player. She's a second-year player. They have no rookies. Did they take anybody in the draft? I think they did. Lauren Manis with the 33rd pick, but she has been waived. They have, however, added Angel McCoughtry, which for me is the huge news, the huge signing. The 10-year veteran from Atlanta, or played for Atlanta, hasn't played a game of WNBA basketball in 2 years. She sat out all of last season with a knee injury. And again, like we were saying, the court at Feld, where they play the games, is really hard, according to Bill Lambert. So they've been taking it very easily with Angel McCoughtry's coming back into game shape, her rehab. Also, they have just cut Alexa Bentley. Have I said her name correctly? Sorry, Alex Bentley, my apologies. She was waived yesterday. Not too sure the circumstances surrounding that, though I do know that she has also been really banged up. We've had players with rib injuries at the moment. We've had Asia Wilson, who is going into her third season now, rookie year in her first year. She averaged 20 and 8 in her rookie season. She had to take a little bit of a back step last year to Cambage, but now she has the keys, and Bill Lambert is going to tell her to run with it. I realize that I've spoken unbroken for what feels like about 20 minutes. So who wants to dive in? Kaz, what have you got on the Las Vegas Aces?
So obviously losing Liz Cambage and Kelsey Plum, huge losses you can't replace those players. But I think the players that they have got, so they've got Dearica Hamby, last year's sixth woman of the year, obviously the crazy shot in the Chicago series. They've got Kayla McBride, who is great three-point shooter, 42% three-point shooter, averaging 13.3 points a game last season. I think Angel McCoughtry working with Dearica Hamby, Asia Wilson, and Kayla McBride's I think they're going to work well together. They're going to be able to work well off of each other. Jackie Young, obviously hoping to have a bit more of a chance this season. So I think whilst you have lost two great players, it's going to just open up the opportunities a little bit, and you're going to see a bit of a different looking team. But I think it's going to work. And I think Bill Lambert's a good enough coach to be able to find ways around that and to find new sets and things that will work.
They are quietly confident about going into this season, but again, they are a short roster right now. I think with Bentley being cut, that makes them maybe 9 players on their roster. So interesting to see what happens there. Lambert thinks that it takes about 10 to 14 days to have a player bubble ready. One player that I'm particularly interested in with the Aces is Carolyn Swords. She actually retired from the WNBA from playing in February to take up a front office job with the Aces. And now she's back playing and will be playing some key minutes at starter with the loss of Jisoo Park and Liz Cambage. We move to Greg.
Oddly enough, you'd think that losing players of the caliber of Plum and Cambage with their usage as well would mean maybe a slight change in identity, but I don't necessarily think that's going to be the case, because Angel McCoughtry is a player that can very much create her own offense like a Kelsey Plum, and Asia Wilson is very capable of doing the same in place of Liz Cambage. Now, not having that tandem in the front court of Wilson and Cambage is going to maybe allow certain defenders to be able to roam a little bit more and load up on a player like Wilson. But as Kaz mentioned before, Bill Lambert is a multiple-time title-winning coach in the WNBA, and he actually has experience of losing a large part of his roster going back to his Detroit days coaching over there. when they had to deal with the rafter suspensions and stuff. So he knows how to coach on the fly and deal with those kind of situations. So I'm actually quite intrigued to see what he comes up with in terms of a system to sort of mask the short numbers of personnel. I wouldn't be surprised if you hear that he had to put on the shorts and tie up his sneakers a little bit in practice just to make up the numbers. So
no, we've already seen it. We've seen the spirit fingers.
So with that kind of thing, he can maybe replicate a Cam Page in practice with his elite size that he was, I think, a 7-footer easily. But, you're looking for a Kayla McBride to step to the fore. Carolyn Swartz coming back again. So that's not necessarily going to change who they are, but maybe not be quite as productive as they used to be.
Mr. Hanson Morris, what say you?
Yeah, I think Vegas is kind of a really interesting situation. They've kind of got a lot of talent, but ultimately they have lost to the best players in the league. So I kind of can see a down year, but a down year for Vegas is still probably going to be a team that on their day when everything clicks that they can contend for a conference finals, even the WNBA finals spot. And I think Greg and Kaz both said it. Bill Lambier's got a kind of a decision to make with the style, because the thing with the Vegas Aces is they don't shoot the three a lot. They shoot it well, but they don't shoot it a lot. It'll be interesting to see if he starts to go more towards the free ball and find some more scoring options on the perimeter, just to free up some more room for the likes of Wilson inside. So if they connect to that style change or not, it'll be certainly an interesting follow this year.
Yeah, and again, that's something that he's been saying about McCourtry. She's there not just for her defense, but to shoot that shot. So yeah, I think you're right. We're going to see maybe a little bit of different identity from the Las Vegas Aces this year, and they're going to run a lot of players a lot of the time. Let's do the over/under before we get to this week's charity break.
13.5 wins.
Over.
Ooh. Under. I'm taking under because I've actually got them at precisely 13.
I'm gonna go over. So what's that now? I've gone like 11 of the 12 teams over, I think. But yeah, I'm gonna go over.
Kaz, what did you have? I missed it. Sorry.
Over.
Okay. All right. As Mikey is making a note of that, and as we allow our excellent guests to just get a quick drink, we've got the same as last week. We are brought to you today, and we receive no money for this, but we just want to talk very briefly about Ashley Smith. She's the Miss Caribbean UK finalist. She will be representing the Cayman Islands, and she is raising money as part of her campaign for the Perfect Day Foundation charity. This initiative will support female netball players in Zambia, aims to address key challenges by teaching girls and young women new skills in order for them to create sellable products made from African wax print material, as well as educate them in the process of running their own small business to help fund their school fees, provide family support, among other necessities. And we're going to have, at the end, we're going to put the link in the video description down at the bottom and also in the comments. Really brilliant charity, really important to improve the life chances of girls and women all over the world, and in countries certainly like Zambia. It is so important. So if you are interested, again, I'm going to pop a link in that, as Kaz is going to walk us through her Los Angeles Sparks.
So 2019 for the Sparks didn't end great. They were swept by Connecticut in the semi-finals with a very strange decision to bench Candace Parker, the team's best player. And they only scored 56 points in that final blowout to Connecticut. So hoping for a fresh start this season. They had picked up Christy Tolliver from Washington in the off-season, which was going to be a huge pickup for them. She used to play for the Sparks a few years ago. She's come back. Obviously, her three-point shooting is great. but she has opted out for the season along with Chini Igumike. They've also lost Maria Vedavia, I think, who's decided to stay in Russia for the season, and Elena Beard retired. So they're a bit thin on the ground compared to what they were expecting to be, I think. But the important thing is they've retained their big three in Candace Parker, Nneka Ogwumike, and Chelsea Gray. So Candace Parker last year was injured. She had one of the worst seasons she's had since coming into the league, only averaging 11 points, down from 17 the year before. She did play a lot less games and she was clearly playing hurt. But she looks to be back to full strength, which they're going to need if they're going to do something this year. Nneka Ogwumike, one of the best players in the game to watch, one of my favourite players to watch. She averages 16.1 points a game, 8.8 rebounds. Put that together with Chelsea Gray, who's just who can get the ball shared out between them. She can create her own shot, making those around her better. Sorry. But what they are going to need is they are going to need those three to stay healthy. They did pick up Simone Augustus from Minnesota, who spent her entire career in Minnesota, 14 seasons, I think. She's with LA now, and she'll be a really good off the bench player. You're going to get at least 10 points a game from her. But again, she was injured last year, and I guess the concern there is how she's recovered from that injury, if she's at any risk with the shorter season, with the compressed games, because any injury to, I guess, the big three and her is really going to make the team a lot weaker. They've not got many sort of backup players to get to. They have got Raquana Williams coming off the bench. She's had one of her best seasons last year as an LA player. Usually 12 points a game, 2 rebounds, 1.5 assists. So that helps. But I think they are on thin ice, that if any injuries happen, they're going to be struggling a little bit. And they are one of the teams that tend to play better at home. So it'll be really interesting to see what playing in the bubble with no crowd does for them. I think they're the kind of team that really thrive off the crowd. Staples Centre's usually pretty packed when they've got a game going on there. So might that have an effect? Might every game seem like an away game?
We wait and see. Thank you for that one. Let's jump over to Mikey before we go to Greg. Mikey, what stands out to you about the Los Angeles Sparks, who, what was their record last year? 22-12, first in the West, third in the league. They lost the semi-final 3-0 by Connecticut. I know you told us about that, but I just wanted to get those numbers in. Mikey.
Yeah, I think obviously Kaz has pretty much hit the nail on the head there in terms of most of that, and I think the Derek Fisher, Candice Parker thing is certainly something that we need to follow, because if he benches her again, you think that could really disrupt the chemistry of the team. Obviously, Parker did a good job dealing with it then and there, but I'm sure it's something that was discussed over the off season and why that happened, and obviously something we'll never really find out too much about. But how that relationship works and will certainly be an interesting one to watch. And obviously the other one from a British point of view is the addition of Christina Nigwe to the Sparks. And it'll be interesting to see how she does. Obviously had a decent rookie year last year, but it's kind of a fresh start with her, and it'll be interesting to see if she can help provide that little bit of depth that the Sparks are missing.
Okay, Greg.
At this point, I'm convinced that there's a bug in my house, because this has happened last week as well. What Cass said right there about the home crowd for the LA Sparks is exactly what I was keyed in on. You know, almost uniquely in the WNBA, considering where they play as well. They've got an insane following, a vocal following, you know, so that's going to change a lot of things for them in terms of the environment and what they're used to being around. And the other thing, which Mikey brought up as well, is I have question marks about the management ability, personnel management ability of Derek Fisher as a coach. It's not the first time that these kind of issues have popped up regarding him. This goes back to his days in the NBA with New York as well. So I don't know. There's something maybe not quite working as well as it should be in terms of that for him. As a basketball coach, obviously knows his basketball, long time player, very experienced. That's not in question, but especially at this level, it's more than about the X's and O's. You need to be able to manage the roster, and he's had to deal with a star personality that was made unhappy, that was vocal about being unhappy, and we'll see how they manage to deal with it behind the scenes in the off season. That would be interesting to see, but that's definitely something to watch as far as I'm concerned. But missing 3 players there that would have been part of your top 7 in terms of health for opt-outs or whatever reason it is, that's going to have an impact. Maybe the scoring is going to slow down a little bit for Los Angeles, but they always have a puncher's chance when you got Candace Parker on your roster. She's going to be for sure healthier than she was last year. So maybe that's going to make up for some of the players that were missing because you did not get a complete Candace Parker in 2019.
Okay, Michael Hansen-Morris.
The exact same number as the Vegas Aces, 13.5.
I'll take... Oh, you would say that. I'm going to take the under.
Under.
We move on to the Minnesota Lynx. 2019 saw the Lynx finish 18-16, 4th in the West, 7th in the league overall. They were eliminated in the first round of the playoffs by their... Now, in my head, Minnesota and Seattle are like next to each other, but that just isn't the case at all. By the Seattle Storm. Sorry, just, a geography moment. So obviously, the key story for me really is they've lost Simone Augustus, and that's enormous. She's obviously played all 14 years of her career there previously, and that's going to be pretty interesting, pretty big culture shift. And from a GB point of view, they do not have Temi Fagbenle for this season. Mikey, let's go to you with the Lynx.
Yeah, I think Minnesota's kind of, not quite dynasty is probably the wrong word, but that kind of long-term era and that core group that they've had is slowly just sort of chipped away over the last few years, and it's kind of all but gone now. So it's kind of a new look Lynx in terms of that they haven't got their big names there anymore as they start to move on. And it'll be interesting to see how they sort of react to missing those key players, as a lot of teams do. But obviously, they've lost a core group this year. Odyssey Sims is obviously a big one as well, who's recently become a mum. So she'll obviously miss this year. And it kind of sends an opportunity up for someone that's kind of maybe slipped a little in the draft, in Crystal Dangerfield from UConn, who may get put straight in the starting lineup at the weekend. I think that's certainly a possibility for a second-round draft pick. So it'll be interesting to see if she can kind of plug the holes that they have in the backcourt. And ultimately, I think Minnesota are going to be challenged to keep their streak going. Is it 10 straight years in the playoffs?
Or is it 9? I think it's 9. 10. This would make it 10. I did write that down.
Yeah. And that's the question. And I think if they are going to miss the playoffs, this possibly might be the year they do it.
See, I don't know about that. I kind of like this roster a little bit. I like the draft picks. They've got Mika Herbert Harrigan, 6th pick, very athletic, long, went a bit higher than necessarily people were expecting, but obviously the Lynx like what they saw with her, 6th pick overall. Dangerfield should have been top 10 by a lot of people's estimation. She dropped down. And of course, Nafisa Collier, the 2019 Rookie of the Year, what a season she had. Is she going to have that sophomore slump, or is she going to take it to the next level? Kaz, let's go to you.
No, she's going to carry on where she left off with a Rookie of the Year campaign. Someone else I'm really looking forward to seeing on Minnesota is Lexi Brown. She's going into her third season. She's going to get a lot more playing time, I think, and she's a great player. 37% shooter from three. I think her and Sylvia Fowles and Nafisa Collier really complement each other in the post and on the perimeter. That will be a good lineup that they've got. Obviously, the big loss of Simone Augustus and No Maya Moore playing again sitting out for the second season in a row. I don't think they'll make the playoffs. I think this will be the year that streak ends. But I think they've got some good pieces again for the future. So they'll be back at it in a couple of years.
One more interesting thing on them from me is that they did draft, or they acquired, Erica Ogwumike. She has been waived, but will go and do a medical degree whilst trying to pursue other basketball opportunities. Greg, what say you?
Yeah, this is a team that I'm very unsure of for this year. They've certainly got players like Sylvia Fowles with a lot of pedigree, Nafisa Collier, as you say, the winning Rookie of the Year. But I'm struggling to really figure out at the moment what their identity is going to be. Of course, Simeon Augustus was a tough nut on the defensive end, one of the hardest-nosed defensive players in the league for as long as she's been in the league, and she could throw the ball as well. So she was kind of part of that group that drove their identity. Obviously, a couple of years ago, you had Lindsay Whalen retiring as well. So it's a bit up in the air for me who are Minnesota going to be, and I'm hoping that you see the emergence of the young players that they've got on their roster. The Brazilian player Dante is maybe getting a chance to step forward a little bit and show what she's got. Megan Huff coming in as a rookie, I think she impressed me a little bit. The little that I watch of college basketball, because I'm not a massive fan of it, but she impressed me when I did see her. So there are definitely opportunities there for younger players, but yeah, I think Coach Reeve is going to have a hell of a job on her hands in terms of being able to mold this squad into what it is that they finally need to become.
Just a fun little thing on Megan Huff, completely unrelated to Megan Huff, is when you scroll over her preview bit on WNBA.com, it says that she was born in 1969. So, Michael, you're over under, and bearing in mind that I think I've married myself to the opinion that they probably will make playoffs. Go on.
Half for Minnesota.
How many?
9.5. So you're going over if we're going to make the playoffs.
I mean, I guess I'm going to have to.
Under.
I'll take the under. Just like I said, I'm unsure about them.
Interesting. Is definitely a word we can use to describe the next team that we're looking at. It's under new ownership. There's a new energy, and they've got, well, it turns out they let college teams into the WNBA now. It is, of course, the New York Liberty. And I mean that with all due respect, of course, because they have 6 rookies on their roster. That is outrageous behavior. And Greg, I believe this was one that you're going to talk us through.
Well, this is as young a roster as I have ever seen in the WNBA. So whatever their 2019 record was, just for the interest, 10-24, forget about it. That doesn't matter anymore. That's completely out of the window. 7 rookies by my count, not least of whom is Sabrina Ionescu. she was a record-breaking player in college. 2,000 points, 1,000 assists, 1,000 rebounds, 29 triple doubles, 26 triple doubles in her career, which is an NCAA record for both men and women. So, look, you're looking at a team that's just going to be an unknown for everybody that they play against. And they're coming in with that young energy. It's effectively a fifth-year senior roster, more or less, with the exception of players like, Asia Durr coming back, Kian Nurse, and one of the most fun players in the league, Amanda Jawi B, coming back for her sixth year. So there's a little bit of size on the roster. I think they average over 6 foot across the board, with one or two exceptions like Ionescu, who's just under. Asia does just under. So they've got a lot of spunk about them. They're going to score the ball a little bit, I think. Kia Nurse averaging almost 14 points a game last season. Asia getting close to 10 points a game. Of course, they lost Tina Charles, who 17 points a game will be a big miss. But if you're looking for something to be a little bit in the mold of your Portland Trailblazers in the NBA, that's going to be your New York Liberty.
See, now when people say that, they don't say trail, they say jail. And I don't see that being a problem here because these are all a lot older, a lot more experienced, and I think it's going to be a good situation rather than a really bad situation for a lot of people's young careers. Now, I have it that Asia Durr has opted out for the season. That is my understanding of the situation from what I have been reading. So fingers crossed that isn't the case, but that's what I understand. They had 4 picks in the top 10. 4 picks in the top 10. One selected by Mercury, that was Jocelyn Willoughby, who has found herself on the New York roster. So very, very exciting indeed. We go to Kaz for a little bit more.
Yeah, I think New York are going to be an exciting team to watch. I don't think they're going to win a lot, but I think they're going to be exciting and a fun team. And obviously, everyone's going to want to see what Sabrina can do in the league. I read something crazy the other day where before she was at Oregon, the women's basketball team was averaging like 1,500 fans in attendance. By a senior season, it was 10,000. So if she's the kind of player that can get more eyeballs on the WNBA, get more people watching the Liberty and women's basketball, that's going to be a great thing. She's very visible as one of the players they've had coming out of the draft. I think more so, she's probably the most visible player we've had in a very long time. So hopefully she can bring a few new viewers in, new fans in. And it's also going to be interesting how she's going to play with a player she's never played with before. So in college, she did really well, and she obviously set records and things. She's working with her teammates that know where she is and where she can score from, what her game's like. But she's gone into the bubble in the training camp. No training camp, just scrimmages now, without having that much time to get together. So they're kind of going to be learning as they go, I think. So it might be a little bit of a rocky road to start with, but she might not have the stats that maybe everyone's expecting straight away. But I don't think it'll take too long to fall into that for her.
So, Kaz, are you saying that she's not going to be Rookie of the Year? Are you not saying that she's going to be MVP? Are you saying that we're in for a slump, that people have been this? Like, what are you saying, Kaz? I think you need to explain. I mean,
Kennedy Carter's going to take Atlanta to the playoffs, so she's going to be Rookie of the Year. She's.
How much should ads pay you to say this?
I think Sabrina's going to be like a longer term impact than like this season right away right now. She's going to be fantastic. She's going to be great. She's going to put up amazing stats, but her impact's going to be in the longer term when they win a title before the Knicks.
For the record, I was talking to a player yesterday, and they said you need to, get your Stephen A. Smith on. So, just... Mikey, very quickly on the Liberty.
Yeah, I think they're kind of one of those teams that they're either going to make the playoffs or they're probably going to finish bottom. I don't think there's going to be a lot in between. They're kind of going to be that home run or bust type team. just because they're so new and so unexpected. Obviously, they've had the head coaching change in the off season as well. So you've got 7 rookies and a new head coach. So in terms of prepping to play them, especially early in the year, I'm sure Seattle are looking and going, well, we've not got much tape to go on here, which may provide some advantage early. And obviously, the wobble could actually favour them. There's obviously been some talk, will it favour the more experienced teams, or will it favour a team like New York that the wobble kind of has that college vibe type life, college AAU life. So if the rookies really take to that, that might just get them a head start and win a couple more games, and it'll be really interesting to see how they go. And it's not often as good as number 1 draft picks have been in years gone by, that you walk in and you go, they're possibly the best player on the roster from day one. And actually, I think Sabrina, with all the opt-out, has the potential to be the New York's best player. So it'll be really interesting to see how she deals with being keyed in on. But she's had that experience not just with Oregon, but when they beat the US last October as well. So yeah, Sabrina's going to be a fun one to watch for sure, and it'll be an interesting year.
Over-unders, please.
It's actually a round number, this one, so you could go 3 ways. New York Liberty are at 10.
How? How is that even a thing? I don't understand gambling.
Nor do I, but the number is 10.
Fair enough. Greg, let's go to you.
Someone in Las Vegas has been partaking a little bit. I'm going to go with the under here. I think I got them at 8 wins. They're going to catch a couple teams. They're going to catch a couple teams early by surprise and sneak a few wins in there, but the grind's going to catch up to them.
Yeah, I have them at 9.5. So yeah, I'm going to go the under. I reckon it'll be close though. And like Kaz, I think it was you that was saying that, you know, they've got to learn how UNESCO works, but then they're all coming in together as a very young core. So I don't know, maybe they all have to learn how each other plays. Maybe that could be, I don't know, maybe there could be a really positive situation where they learn together quite quickly, and maybe the wobble will help that. As Greg, he can't stand it when I talk. We need him. For the next team, we will make a skip forward. Mikey, do not let me forget. We are going to go to the Seattle Storm and hope that Greg can return pretty sharpish. Seattle Storm in 2019, they finished with an 18-16 record. They were 6th in the WNBA. And Kaz, we are back to you for the deep dive. Kaz? Is Michael Hanson-Morris there?
Yeah, do you want me to? I suppose obviously the headline with Seattle is the return of 2018 MVP Brianna Stewart. Obviously missed last year with injury. So yeah, the return of Stewart is certainly going to be a key piece. But they also get Sue Bird back. Again, another one that missed last year with a knee injury. And yeah, Seattle kind of had a bit of a down year last year, but again, when you're missing your 2 best players, you kind of understand it. And for me, they're someone that will certainly challenge for the title. I'm not going to give away my title prediction just yet, but you certainly think Seattle are one of those teams that could contend. And it'll be interesting to see how Stewart and Bird return to the pieces they've got, because people like Natasha Howard had a great year last year. So it'll be interesting to see how well like Howard and Stewart can play together inside, and see how that combination works. The issue for Seattle was the offense last year, but you think with Stewart coming back, that will help. And yeah, it'll be. I think Seattle will have a bit more of an improvement, but again, things can go unexpectedly wrong. But they do look more like the 2018 Seattle than the 2019 team to start the season, at least.
So what do you make of the return of Brianna Stewart? Do you think that she could be the player that she was pre-injury?
I think so, just because so she's had a bit of playing time in Europe as well. She's out in Russia, so it's not like she's immediately come back and not played in 2 years. She has had some game minutes under her belt 4 or 5 months ago now, obviously with the extended break. So I think she'll be able to hit the ground running a little bit more. And she was the MVP for a reason. She's one of the most coveted players coming out of college, probably in Sabrina Ionescu's type of caliber in terms of someone coming out. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing her back and seeing if they can improve, certainly on the offensive end, because the defense carried them last year. I think they led the league in steals and points allowed. So they really have that defensive identity. It's can that offense pick up just a little bit more?
We have Greg back. Greg, thank you for rejoining us. The joys of doing live things across the country over the internet. Greg, we're talking about Seattle very briefly. I appreciate it. Kaz is yet to re-emerge as well. So fingers crossed Kaz can make it back. We were just talking about the Seattle Storm and Brianna Stewart. And of course, Sue Bird is also back for another year. Very briefly, what do you make of their chances this year, Greg, as Kaz is also back? Hello, Kaz.
Hi, sorry about that.
You're quite all right. Greg.
Yeah, I think a big part of Seattle's success is going to rest and what is she going to be like after having sat down for a whole year following, what was really quite a horrific injury that she suffered in the EuroLeague. So, all signs are showing that she's back to herself. She's got confidence. Obviously, having the very experienced veteran hand of Sue Bird next to her will kind of help alleviate some of that load. But in all reality, the success of Seattle, whether or not they make the playoffs, starts and stops with Brianna Stewart, I think, for this season. And I'm convinced that she's going to be the player that we knew her to be before the injury happened. And you know what? Maybe even take another step because she's just raring to go. She's been deprived of her basketball for quite a while. Now she's very keen to get back and play. So we'll see how it goes, but I'm sure she's going to be a major part.
Okay, and Kaz, just very, very briefly, what key things are you looking for with the Storm this year? I know that you really took a good look at them in the run-up to this.
Yeah, so sorry, I just lost my connection before, so apologies if I'm repeating anything that you guys have said. But the key thing for me is that they've kept the core of that 2018 title-winning team together. They've got 9 returning players that played in that season, picked up a few new ones that are only going to complement them. Morgan Tuck, that they've acquired in the trade from Connecticut. She used to play with Brianna Stewart at UConn. So they're coming in, they know each other. That'll be hopefully gelling straight away. One player that I think is really, really one to watch this season, Jordan Canada. She was starting last year. She's going to come off the bench this season, but she led the league in steals, 2.3 steals a game. She's a starting caliber player, and she's coming off the bench. Seattle is just stacked, and Brianna Stewart, hopefully back to her best. They're going to be a fun team to watch.
Now, if you know me, I like the slightly, I look at the world in a slightly different way, maybe sometimes. Things I like about the Seattle Storm, they have a team acupuncturist, Mel Cable, give them a shout they deserve, a team Pilates instructor in Brooke Tyler, and a full-time chiropractor in Dana McCracken. So this is a team that seriously goes about their prep, but make sure that they make it known who these individuals are. And that I actually really do respect and appreciate. Michael, it is your time to shine.
And Seattle are the other team with a whole number, and their number is 15.
Over? Way over.
Way over 15?
Way over.
How are you going way over 15 when there are 22 games?
They're coming out of the gate. They're gonna destroy everyone.
Well, they're going to finish with like a 20-2 record. Oh, unbeaten. Yeah. Are you saying unbeaten? Is Kaz coming out with the spice again?
18. They're going to win 18.
Just make sure you're taking notes at home. Kaz thinks that Ionescu's not going to make it. And I'm joking. Greg, what are you saying?
I'm going to hold on 15.
You're not allowed to, apparently. I've been told you're not allowed to do that. I've been lied to.
No, 15's a whole number. They can have 15 wins. They can't have 9.5 wins or 12.5 wins.
I think the rules have been changed.
I think they have. I think we're being mugged off here. I'm going to go... Oh, I'm going to go... I don't know. Maybe 16 sounds kind of big. What would that be? 16 and 6. I'm going to go under. I'm going to go just under. All right, we move to the Phoenix Mercury. Right, we were trying to, Greg, have you broken again? No, perfect. Tell us about the Phoenix Mercury, my guy.
So anyone that knows me knows I'm a Phoenix Mercury fan, or rather, more specifically, I'm a Diana Taurasi fan. She's actually my third favorite player out of any basketball player ever, men and women. So do with that what you will.
Who's your top three?
Probably underperformed last season because, again, you had Diana Taurasi playing on a broken body. Oh, my top 3 favorites of all time?
Yeah.
Number 1 for me is Dwayne Wade. So, that's all that I don't know that's going to change ever. That's never going to change for me. Number 2, Magic Johnson. Number 3 is Diana Taurasi.
I like it. All right, carry on.
LeBron comes fourth.
Ooh.
Taurasi played on a broken body last season, and you could see when you looked at her percentages, they were god awful. 10.3 from the field, 4.2 from the 3-point line. But she only played the 6 games anyway. She was out early with knee surgery or back surgery, I think it was, and then toward the end of the season, she had a hamstring pull, which caused her to miss their playoff game. So this is going to be like having a brand new signing if she's healthy once the season starts. And of course, they've got the cheat code. Brittany Griner, probably the elite rim protector in the history of the WNBA, I think. And, she's a player that I followed early from her Baylor days as a freshman all the way through under the guidance of Kim Mulkey. She's every year shown from the very first game she set foot in the WNBA that she is elite in this league. 20 points a game, easy. She plays heavy minutes. She scores very efficiently from the field. She's a gazelle in the open floor. She runs from rim to rim every time. But the key thing for Phoenix this year is going to be the addition of Skylar Diggins-Smith into the backcourt. She's going to be able to take a lot of the offensive responsibility off the shoulders of Diana Taurasi. She's a multiple-time All-Star, I think 4-time All-Star in the WNBA. She's been all WNBA first team twice, second team once, most improved player in 2014. So she's going to be a key part of the Phoenix Mercury getting back into a deep playoff run this year.
And don't forget, she played the 28th season whilst pregnant, which is just unreal. Again, I've said it before, I've said it again. These athletes, these women are just made of a different caliber of humanity. I swear to goodness. They're unreal. Kaz, any comments on the Mercury?
Just adding Skylar Diggins-Smith is going to be great. It's a great pickup. And she played with Liz Cambage in Dallas, so she's used to playing with a big and getting her the ball. So I think her and Brittany Griner are going to work really well. Yeah, exciting to see what Tarasi can do when they're healthy. And the three of them together, Griner, Tarasi, and Skylar Diggins-Smith, are just going to be another big three. There's a lot of teams with big threes this year, and it's going to be a good one.
Interesting thing for me is they have no rookies. They had two, but they waived them both. And they're also missing Jessica Breland, so that could really hurt them with the rebounds. Now, I know, Greg spoken at length about Brittany Griner, and who doesn't love watching Brittany Griner play? But one person can only do so much, and you need more people that can secure the rock. So we'll be interested to see what impact that has. Mikey, any general comments from you, or are you going to go straight to your over-unders?
Yeah, I think just touching upon the rebounding, I think Phoenix are one of the worst teams in the league last year, if not the worst team on the boards. And that's where you've obviously had a Skylar Diggins-Smith, but you've lost Duwana Bonner, obviously, as we talked about earlier. So, and that's kind of a guard for a wing. So I think one of Phoenix's big challenges will be the boards this year. But if they can hold up and stay healthy, they've certainly got the power and the of the elite end to really make a deep playoff run. But again, like many of these teams this year, it's about staying healthy and being fit when the playoffs roll around. And
now,
the numbers.
Sorry.
Oh, go on. You go first.
I'm not too sure if Greg mentioned their record from last year. It was 15-19, 5th in the West, 8th in the league. They were eliminated in the first round of the playoffs by Chicago. Just, if that matters at all.
And the Phoenix number is 10.5.
Oh, that sounds about
over
where I have
12 wins.
You got them at 12.
11.
You got them at 11. So you're you're over.
Yeah.
How many teams have I gone over so far, Michael?
1, 2, 3. About 5.
About 5. I'm going to go under. I'm going to go just under. Though I don't feel good about it. All right. We move. Oh, we're on to the last one. We are on to the final team. So I might revise my over-under with Phoenix because we are going to talk about the Washington Mystics. Ishmael Fontaine, unfortunately, not with us today, but wherever he is, he will be delighted. He will be shouting about Shea Petty, and rightly so. Absolutely rightly so. Kaz, let's go to you. What say you on the Washington Mystics?
So for me, obviously Washington champions last season. I think they've lost a lot this off season with opt-outs, medical opt-outs, personal choice. So they've lost Christy Tolliver. She's gone to LA in free agency. Tina Charles has obviously got the medical opt-out. Natasha Cloud and Latoya Sanders are sitting out for personal reasons. Elena Deldon is on the roster, but I don't think we would be very likely to see her play. She was denied her medical opt-out, which we spoke about last week. But the Mystics have said she's going to still be rehabbing from a back injury anyway, so they're keeping her on the roster that way. I would be very surprised if she did end up coming into the bubble. So I think it's going to be a bit of a shame that we don't get to see them kind of defend their title at full strength. It's going to be a bit like the Seattle team last year. So they've lost 4 of their starting 5 players. And Emma Miesemann is just going to be leading this team now. So we saw what she did in the playoffs and in the finals, coming off the bench. She's starting. She's going to be the keys to the offense. They have got Lilani Mitchell that they picked up as well, who will definitely help her out. She was the most improved player last season and in 2010. She'll help replace some of that 3-point shooting that they're going to lose from Christy Tolliver. And obviously, you've got Ariel Atkins, Ariel Powers coming back. They're solid players, 10, 11 points off the bench. They're going to get a lot more playing time. I think they'll do better than maybe people are expecting with how much they've lost. Their coach Mike Thibault he's a great coach. But like we were saying about Bill Lambier, he's going to be able to work around what he's not got and replace some of those pieces. And they've also picked up Essence Carson from, I think she was in LA. She's going to help them a lot on defense. She can switch between the guard and forward positions. But something that I think they will struggle with is the rebounding. I think they were pretty far down the standings in rebounds last year. And they've only got Emma Miesemann and Elena Coates, kind of notable rebounders there. They're both 6'4". So then they're going to need some help there, or they're going to need to improve their rebounds this season, I think.
Yeah, just looking at their roster, it is very guard heavy with a couple of centers and forwards. But of course, they're missing Tina Charles, who is an opt-out for this season. I'm really excited too, talking about Ishmael Fontaine, to see some more of Shea Petty. Hopefully, she's going to see a lot of minutes this season. Really, really distinguished career in Europe, like like Ish told us about last week. We will go to Michael, and then we'll go to Greg, and then back to Michael. So, Mikey, what have you got to say on the Washington Mystics? The reigning WNBA champions, of course. Sorry, Mikey, I know I've just invited you to speak. They finished the regular season 26-8, top of the league, top of the WNBA. Michael Hanson-Morris.
Yeah, I mean, they've kind of hit this same thing as Connecticut, really, in terms of the two WNBA finals teams have kind of had a big roster overhaul. One was a little bit more optional in terms of Connecticut, but Washington certainly on paper looked like they're certainly missing big pieces. So the kind of question is, who else can really step up and fill the void? Obviously, one of the obvious answers is last year's most improved player in Leilani Mitchell, who obviously jumped up to 13 points a game at age 34. So can she continue improving and have another good year, or does someone else step up? Because they do have a lot of kind of role players, and they had that depth in the finals last year. So it's trying to find those role players that can really step up and fill the voids missing. That'll be really interesting to see. And yeah, they are a little bit small. So that'll be, again, kind of the same as Phoenix, will be how they deal with rebounding and controlling the paint. And if they can do that, they still should have a good year. The question is have they lost a little bit too much to contend for a repeat of their title?
Moving straight over to Greg.
I think they're either going to be a low seed in the playoff positions or just miss out because they're going to struggle with identity this year. Look, losing what they've lost, and especially the fact that we're not actually expecting to see Elena Delle Donne on the court at all this year, considering that, she's having to deal with Lyme disease in conjunction with the coronavirus. They were very much a team that would show up most weeks and score 1 million points and send you back with your tail between your legs. Don't know if there's going to be much of that going on this season. Obviously, Natasha Cloud, Kristen Tolliver, obviously, Elena Delle Donne, Tina Charles. That's heavy scoring that is not on the roster right now. And as we mentioned a lot of times, depth was their strength in the finals last year. But that depth only factors in when it's supporting the strong top end that they had. Now that's missing a little bit. So they'll still be competitive. They've got a very strong coach in Mike Thibault, but I think it's just a little bit too much of an ask for the players who are on the roster right now to be able to carry them over the line. Obviously, Emma Miesemann stepping into a starting role, which she has been a long-time starter in the WNBA, but came off the bench a lot last season and was very effective in that role for the Washington Mystics. So she's going back to being a starter. But ultimately, it's just going to be a little bit too much for Washington to be in the high playoff seed. So they're probably going to be an 8th seed or a 9th.
And that leads us perfectly into Michael's corner.
Well, I know where Greg's going with this because Washington are predicted at 14.5 wins.
Nah. Give me the under there, and give me the over on Phoenix. Let me just do the old switcheroo there.
Okay.
Yeah, I've got them under, probably hovering around 500.
Yeah, I think it's fair.
Is that it then?
Kaz?
Under.
All good.
All good. All right. We move into the final bit of the evening, and I recognize that today's show's been quite long already, so we're going to wrap this up pretty quickly. Now, as anybody who knows anything close to Focus Hoops, Below the Rim, all of that, we love a good long show, good long podcast. That isn't going to be the plan for the WNBA show, but occasionally we're going to need to take a little bit more of your time, and we appreciate you staying with us, watching, and like we say, get the comments in. We want to know your predictions, who's going to win the league, who's going to do well this season. So we move to the awards. So you got who's winning the league? Let's just kick off nice and easy. Who's winning the WNBA playoffs when it's all said and done?
Seattle, with their unbeaten record.
Their unbeaten record.
Yeah.
All right. Kaz says Seattle. I'm gonna do a Pablo and make notes of these. All right. Greg.
I'm going to be a bit partisan here. I got Mercury going for the chip. Swan song for Diana Taurasi.
And Mikey.
I have Seattle.
Ooh. We move on. MVP. Who have you got? Let's we'll go in the same order. We'll start with Kaz. MVP.
I've got Brianna Stewart.
You'd love to see it. Greg.
I can see it being Stewart, yeah.
Not Britt Griner.
Not quite. Although she will take a few votes.
I mean, she was second team all defense last season, which I don't know. I thought she was. Well, Jonquel Jones was first team all defense last year. Mikey, MVP.
What the others said, I've got Brianna Stewart.
Oh, you got Brianna Stewart as well.
I mean, actually, I was looking this up this morning, just as a look. Do you want to have a guess what year the last guard won the MVP?
2012. Gonna go 2012. Oh,
was it? Ooh, maybe before. I don't know why I've got the name Becky Hammond in my mind. I've got the name in my mind as a guard MVP for some reason. I'm trying to think when that was. 2009?
Yeah.
I don't know.
2008, 2009-ish. Yeah.
Come on, Mikey.
It was 2009, but it was not Hammond. It was Taurasi. So we haven't had a guard win MVP for 10 straight years. So it'll be interesting to see if anyone can stop that.
Well, I've got an idea of one player that might. They're called Sabrina Ionescu.
Ooh.
Rookie of the year MVP combo. Not my prediction, but it is a question.
Was it Candace Parker, the last player to do that?
It was 2000. Was that 2000? I want to say that was 2008. But I think Michael's just told us that can't be the case. What year did Candice debut?
2008.
She's not a guard in the league. She's not listed as a guard.
No. Sorry, I was talking about the year. What year was the last? What year did Taurasi win? 2019. Sorry, 2009.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry. Sixth. Do we have a sixth woman of the year? Do we have ideas for that?
I got Jordan Canada from Seattle.
Okay. Greg?
I've actually got Skylar Diggins-Smith because I think she's going to be spelling off the bench.
Ooh. That'll be interesting to see. That will be really interesting to see. Mikey?
I don't have one because I think Greg's kind of hit the point. I think we're going to see some different combinations and different lineups this year. So I'm not quite sure where the rosters are going to go. So I don't actually have one.
Okay, so Splinter Central from Michael. I'm just gonna. I reckon Hamby could well repeat. I do expect her to keep coming off of the bench because that appears to be the role they have for her. And yeah, I kind of expect to see her repeat. Who else we got? We got Rookie of the Year, or as I like to call it, the Satu Sabali 2020 Award of Excellence. So that's who I think. What about yous? What about Kaz?
This is Kennedy Carter's award. This is hers.
Greg?
Yeah, I'm the same.
Oh, you're Carter as well. Whoa. Greg?
Satu Sabali.
And you're Satu as well.
Sabali. Any voters are obsessed with records, you see. So I'll go with Satu Sabali.
I think Satu, maybe Ty Harris as well. And I think, is that all of our awards? I wasn't going to do most improved unless people have most improved.
I've got Lexi Brown from Minnesota.
Okay.
Coach of the year, no?
Oh yeah, Coach of the Year. So Lexi Brown.
I've got a most improved as well.
Let's hear it.
I've got Brianna Jones of Connecticut.
Greg, did you have a most improved?
Yeah, Mike. Brianna Jones. You want to deactivate that bug you've got in my room, please?
All right, and I think that's going to wrap us up with Coach of the Year.
Sandy Brondello for Phoenix, because I think they're going to finish with a better record than last year.
Greg, I'm guessing you've gone Phoenix as well.
What she said. Yep, Sandy Brondello.
Mr. Hanson Morris.
I am going with one of the new head coaches, Mariana Stanley.
Not a bad show.
Mariana Stanley. Okay. I don't know. I reckon Agler. I reckon Agler of the Wings could do it. I don't know. I just really like what the Wings have going on, and I think they could be an awful lot of fun this season. So that's it. We're still waiting for a sixth Woman of the Year from Mikey. So if he decides on one before Saturday, we will add that to our list. An enormous thank you to you guys for being involved in tonight's preview. Just very quickly, is there any other business from anybody?
So I have one question for this weekend.
Go ahead.
So the rookie debut scoring record is 34 points, and the most points scored by a rookie in a season is 40 points. Is anyone beating either of those this season? It was Candace Parker as well saying that.
I mean, if it's gonna happen, it's gonna be this year, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's gonna be this year. What do you reckon? Ionescu smashing 40 points? Point a 40 piece on Sue Bird.
Yeah, I think she might get 40 at some point, 40 plus, but I don't think the 34 on debut is in much danger.
Yeah, that was my thinking.
Yeah, I don't think they'll get either, but I think the two records that might go are triple doubles in a year, and also I think someone might top the 9.1 assists record as well.
What's the triple doubles in a year?
I think it's 2. It's
2.
low, which is why I think someone might break it this year.
I thought it was
surprisingly low.
I thought it was 14.
There's only been like
No,
9.
There's not many. Yeah, there's not many in the whole
Really?
WNBA, which is why I think it's 2.
Wow. That is, even by, I mean, obviously we're all used to 40 minutes a game because, you know, we're European basketball heads, but 2? That is low. Interesting. So that's Kaz's Any Other Business. Anything from Greg?
I think you've been spoiled by the Russell Westbrook garbage.
I'll tell you what I've been spoiled by. I've been spoiled by Katrin Hume, Madeline Homily, Ash Harris.
No, I'm really looking forward to this season. It's my favorite part of the summer every year. WNBA, I look forward to it every year, so I'm just glad to have it back.
And Michael Hansen-Morris.
I just kind of highlight a few key storylines for the first week. Obviously, we get through the weekend, and we've also got everyone playing again Tuesday or Wednesday night. So I'll just do a very, very quick roundup. Saturday, Brittany Griner versus Christina Anigwe. Last time we saw them, that was a little skirmish on the court, shall we say, back in August. So I wonder if they have become best of friends, or we see some very physical play. And then obviously Tuesday, we've got the finals rematch between Washington and Connecticut. And then Wednesday, we see Sabrina play her college teammate, Sabu Satterley. So we get the Oregon girls pairing off really quickly. And we also get Angel McCourty returning, or I say returning because it's a neutral site, but playing against Atlanta for the first time in her career. So there's some big storylines going into the first week that I'm sure we will round up next week.
We will indeed. Very, very excited to be properly kicked underway. Basketball is nearly back upon us. So all that leaves me to say is thank you, all three of you, for being with us today. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you, Daz.
Cheers, Greg. And thank you, as always, to Kaz.
Thank you.
And all that leaves me to say to you at home, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for joining us. We hope that you're with us all season long. And we'll speak to you very soon.